Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. We're talking today about domestic violence. It's an age-old universal problem. In Canada, 4 in 10 women experience domestic violence. And I want to find out why this is happening and what we can do to solve it. I'm here with Reena Vanza. She's a registered psychotherapist with Cedarway Therapy. Reena, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
I know that you work with women and girls who are leaving situations of domestic violence, Reena. Can you tell me why domestic violence persists? I mean, we've made so many technological advancements, social advancements, but still we find that in all sorts of societies, domestic violence is still a problem.
So absolutely, Sophia. But today I want to start off with a few definitions and a little disclaimer statement for the viewers. Some of the issues that I will be discussing today may be triggering for a lot of people. And so I will ask that people take this in the pace that is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Take a break if you need to, step out, come back when you're ready. If you are watching this with children, please do interpret this in an age-appropriate way for them because, as I said, things can be difficult and triggering and hard to understand. So today, Sophia, I'll be talking about DV and IPV. DV stands for domestic violence, which is usually violence that is done by a family member.
Mm-hmm.
So this can be anyone in the family, such as your sibling, your parents, your in-laws. And then IPV is something that we use, and it stands for interpersonal violence, which is violence that is perpetrated by your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So DV and IPV, just to kind of make a note of those two acronyms that I'll be using.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about it. Tell me, I mean, you're dealing with these cases, you're hearing from people. Tell me what sort of problems persist in our community in terms of domestic violence.
Right. So, I mean, if we look at what's happening in our community right now, we have 2 Muslim-based shelter systems. One is Sakina Canada and one is Nisa Homes that have almost over 20 shelters across Canada.
Wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you that this is happening. Whether we want to believe it or not, domestic violence, IPV, is something that is happening in the Muslim community.
Mm-hmm. They opened these shelters just in the last few years. So that means it has been, there's an increasing recognition that it's a serious problem right now.
Yes, it's been about 10 years since the shelters have opened, and we have 20 shelters across Canada. Sakina Canada has recently come out with a fostering program for children, and these are Muslim children that will need a safe space because they're coming out of homes that are not safe for them. So that tells you that this is a pervasive problem within the Muslim community. We get calls from social workers, from hospitals, from doctors, from the police. So a lot of people think we go out to find these women and children. They find us because the problem actually exists.
So, Reena, we know that domestic violence is not a problem only in the Muslim community. It's pretty pervasive across all societies. And we mentioned in Canada, 4 in 10 women experience it. So it's not a Muslim-specific problem, but it's important as Muslims to also discuss it because, as you said, Muslims are experiencing it.
Right. Sophia, 65% of Canadians will have known somebody who has experienced some sort of abuse. That's 65%. And in the Muslim community, and in all these communities, we ask, why does this persist? Well, oftentimes we challenge notions like masculinity and femininity. What I like to do is actually challenge the word toxic masculinity, right? These are the notions of manliness that exist in our communities. I can speak to the Muslim community because this is a community I work for, right? I work with. And so we perpetuate things like what it's like to be a man, using words like strong, aggression, we should obey, we should be respectful. This is what the man deserves. We categorize women in places, they should be more patient, tolerating, be more kinder, compassionate. So toxic masculinity is something that exists within our homes, within our communities, within our schools, within our cultures. And this is something that I would love for us to talk about and challenge.
How do you think we can challenge this within our school systems, within our families?
Well, I think it starts at home, and then it's continued and a role that should be played by our communities, right? So our masajids or schools. And so at homes, I ask people, what are your definitions of a healthy family, healthy relationships? Challenge yourself. Like, do I think that I am in a household where things are equal, right? We're comparing apples to oranges. We're not, people usually say, men are better, women are better. I don't like to pin men and women against each other because we're 2 different beings, right? We are equal. And if we embrace that equality, I think we'll be at a better place. So
it's a complementary relationship, right?
Absolutely. And so if we pin each other against each other, then we're initially saying that men are better than women, right? We are equal. And so in your homes, I ask people to challenge, what does a healthy family look like to you? What does respect mean to you, right? Do your children fear you? Do you have an open space for them to talk? Are you feeling vulnerable and comfortable enough in your role as a father, as a mother? So for us as Muslim parents to challenge these notions, if we don't know about these things, learn about them, fill the gaps in our homes, and then take this out to the community. What's happening in the messaging that these children are getting at schools, at our massages? I do know that, imams are talking about domestic violence and IPV more so than ever. We need to support these leaders to do this even more, to have programming that then helps, create safe spaces to talk about what healthy family means.
Yeah, that's really important. We don't talk about that enough. What about people who are survivors of domestic violence? What should we do to help to support them as a community?
Yeah, so that's a huge question, right? And so, as I said, with Nisa Homes, Sakina Canada existing, with Muslim women in shelters that are not Muslim, we know that this problem exists, right? So the first thing is to believe that this problem exists. We are, we advocate the same thing every year. Right now, we are in National Month of Domestic Violence Awareness. Every year we do the same thing. Domestic violence exists, IPV exists, believe us, donate, talk. We're doing the same thing. So as a community, we want to open up this conversation. We want to destigmatize, the talk around domestic violence. We want to talk to our children, our family members, that this does exist and what can we do to stop this from happening to somebody we know. Right?
Because I think sometimes when we don't talk about it, people feel ashamed, like they think this is not normal, what I'm experiencing. So I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to stay in my situation by myself. But when we talk about it, then they get the courage to be able to do something about it.
Absolutely. When someone's going through this, there's a lot of victim blaming. There's a lot of shame and stigma attached to this. And so a lot of the times people wonder, why do women stay? Why don't they just walk and leave? Well, if they don't think that they're going to be supported out there, they're not going to. It's a very scary world to get up and leave with your children, to think that I have to start from scratch, right? I am alone. How do I navigate the system? And so if we don't talk about it and we don't open these spaces, the women that are in this situation won't have the courage to leave.
Are we supporting women enough? Is there something more that we should be doing?
As a community, I think there's always more that we can be doing, right? I talk about safe spaces. I talk about when women come to leaders, when women come to schools, when women come to doctors' offices, open up that conversation, right? Make it safe for them to talk without judging. A lot of the times at the shelter I work at, women here go back and be patient, right? And so they start to self-doubt. Should I be taking this a bit more? Am I not being patient? And we don't know, but we need to be open to talking about it. We have to get comfortable with telling people, it's okay to tell me what you're going through. It's okay to seek support. It's okay to talk to somebody. You don't have to silently suffer.
Do you think that we need better supports in terms of women who are ready to leave or have left and want to restart their life?
Absolutely. I mean, we exist. Nisa Homes exists. Sakina Homes exists. We're always asking for funding for these reasons, right? We're always asking for advocacy. We're doing advocacy. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to do this anymore. We exist. These organizations exist so that we can do the job correctly. It can be dangerous to go in there and, expose a woman that's not ready to leave and put her life in danger. So if you don't know what you're doing, but you want to be part of this, contact these organizations, support these organizations so the professionals there can do the job.
Are there any other aspects of society, for example, policing or the justice system, that all need to work together in order to help women, first of all, and just to eradicate domestic violence?
I think this is a problem that's going to be here for a long time. There are many pieces of the puzzle that need to come together. And so whether it's policing, justice system, there's always barriers that these women face. We all have to come together, work collaboratively, work across communities so that we can make social change happen. I know that women do face barriers, even in the justice system, even in the policing.
Being believed, for example,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. Women that have to face the court system are scared of it. A lot of them think my children will be taken away, we won't be believed, what's going to happen? And so they don't have faith in the system. So we have to help them to have that faith by doing right by them.
Reena, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're doing really important work in the community to eradicate domestic violence and help people who are in that situation. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. May Allah accept from you and give you success in all that you do.
Ameen. Thank you so much.
On behalf of Let the Quran Speak, I want to say thank you. You've helped us become the most widely watched Muslim TV show in Canada. I want to appeal to you to continue to support us. You can visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. We also accept e-transfers to iGive at QuranSpeaks.com. And we're now on Patreon, so you can make a monthly contribution. May God bless you and your loved ones today and always.